Good afternoon and welcome to this week's edition of Conversation with Adaba FM. My name is Dimitri Daniels, and this afternoon I'm being joined by a former member of the House of Representatives who is now a member of the Social Democratic Party SDP from Ekiti State, Honorable Bimbo Daramola, or Congressman Bimbo Daramola. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you, Didi. Out a long time. I be.
Okay, let's begin with what is happening presently in Ekiti State. On Saturday, we had news that some people had been killed at political outing in Ekiti State. And after that, on Sunday, the police declared you wanted. And before that, Saturday evening, the APC, the All Progressives Congress, issued a statement accusing you of leading the attack that led to the killing of the APC member. And there was another statement by the Biodun Abami Oyebanji campaign organization, signed by Taiwo Latubosun, that you were in fact the mastermind of the killing. What really happened?
Well, thank you very much, Didi. I appreciate the fact that I could just stop by on my way out to be able to do this. When I saw the aggregate of happenings in Ekiti between Saturday and Sunday, a number of things came to my mind, and I was wondering, how did we get to this point? In the first place, I would think that all of those things would have taken their places in the darkest places of our history, political history in Ekiti State, where anybody will seek to get into power, to seek the people's mandate using the barrel of the gun and force. There is no falsehood that is greater than that I've seen about my person. And then that it is coming from people that I want to assume reasonably know me well. I could be tough, I could be whatever it is, but not that I will go and lead an attack in the manner in which they've suggested it. There's no truth to it. There's no truth whatsoever. It's a figment of their imagination. They conjectured it. And I can say to you that for a Taiwo Latubosun to be able to put that out, I put something on my page on Facebook today, and I said, maybe I'm too trusting. I believe people so much, and it brings to mind one of the things I've shared with people, that we shouldn't blame anybody in life. The good people will give you happiness. The worst people will give you a lesson, and then the best people will give you memories. These are people that I've related with. Maybe not as long with Latubosun, but a number of people in that party had related with them for 18 years. What happened was simply that Engineer Shegoni, former governor, went to Onitaji's palace, where he was supposed to be meeting, or where indeed had a meeting scheduled to meet with the KBSs in Oyo local government. Okay. A day before that time, Engineer Shegoni had sidestepped and said, okay, he heard that APC was having their meeting in Oye and rallies in Oye and all of that. And he said, SDP should not go that way. And I got that information. I also kept that, preference to allow people to have the opportunity to engage the people. So we skipped Friday as SDP, even though as earlier approved and scheduled, we skipped that day and we gave them the right of way. And on Saturday, Engineer only said, let us go and finish, now that our competition had finished their own rallies. And I saw that when we got to Oye, or before we got to Oye, at Ayegbaju, people had been hurriedly dispersed. And then when we got to Oye, the Oye people were complaining to us about how, a member of the Dr. Kadifami administration, and somebody who is close to me is from that town, had also led a number of people in branded buses, RTAN, with crested shirts belonging to Biodun and his campaign, into that town and harassed them where they stayed. But Engineer Oni calmed them down and said we should proceed to the meeting with the KBSC before we turn around to come and meet with the party people. Now we got to Onitaji's palace. We got to Itaji. At the junction of the palace, there was this low bed truck that was branded in Biodun's campaigns and all of that. And I felt it was not proper. Having given you the right of way only yesterday, why wouldn't they take this? Don't forget that politics are an emotional affair. You may not be able to fully rein in all of your supporters no matter what you do. But in this circumstance, nobody bothered. We just entered the KBS's palace. And there at the palace were 13 or 14 KBSs. I think about 13 of them, led by the Onitaji himself. And then, of course, the UR courtesies led by the Unimojo and all of that. So, after Engineer Oni had the opportunity to speak to the people, to the KBSs, and then did everything. But while that meeting was going on, and under God, this is the truth. This is the gospel truth. While that meeting was going on, we were hearing gunshots. And at some point, somebody brought a phone to the Onitaji. And as soon as he gave the phone to Onitaji and he spoke to that person, his countenance changed. And then Onitaji passed the phone to another KBS who was sitting to his right or to his left. And thereafter, one of the kings now said, Engineer Oni should finish. When Engineer Oni should finish his presentation quickly, and that the town was getting restive, that Igboro would die. I wondered what was going on. Thereafter, we quickly rounded off, and I was the last person, because I rode in Engineer Oni's car. I was the last person that walked out of the palace and joined Engineer Oni in his car. As soon as I joined Engineer Oni in his car, the security detail to Engineer Oni, or his orderly, came and said, sir, thank God, some people wanted to come and overrun the palace. And I was like, who would dare this? Nobody would try that if they didn't have the collateral, the assurances, and the cover of government. To want to overrun a palace that had 13 KBSs sitting down there, that's number one. What a temerity. And then say what you will, Engineer Segun Oni may be a gubernatorial aspirant today, but he was a former governor. And so he had been given the courtesy of having security operatives. Were you expecting those security operatives to allow people to come and run him over, as well as overrun the palace of the Onitaji of Itaji? So this was the briefing he was given to his principal. And at some point, he now said that one of the guys who led the assault, when he was repelled, in the process of going to join the others in the white Hilux cars, don't forget that he was briefing us. I never saw it. Engineer Oni never saw it. Indeed, I was surprised that nobody even saw on the Waroshoge, who was also there, and a number of other people. You understand? And then the man said, while the guy was trying to jump into the white Hilux that brought them, he slipped, he missed his step, and then fell. And then the people mobbed him. That was what happened. For a Taiwo Olatuboso, who I used to have a great respect from, I used to feel he's a very decent guy, having been a member of the House of Assembly, and in my relationship with him over the past, I used to think Taiwo is such a decent person. But for him to have authored and signatured that, it's a part of the grand plot to intimidate people. When your campaign is running out of ideas and the people are not receiving your messages, you don't have anything to tell the people. You begin to look for shortcuts. And unfortunately, this is one shortcut that people have seen through it. And I asked that question, was Bimbo at Omo when they sent people to Omo and prevented as small as 5 election in 5 wards from holding for about 2 years? Today, Sola Shola Adenijo is still in prison on the account of that. I warned Sola about these people. These people don't care about you. They are use and dump people. They should take a cue from my example. All right? So, was Bimbo there? Now, the day before, was Bimbo in Ayedu when Baba Fanimo's son reported to me that they attacked him? Was Bimbo at Efon when Engineer Segun Oni said, they was attacked? Which led to him getting the security cover that the state graciously provided for him. Was Bimbo at Bonyi when they attacked him? And that was why I wrote that the campaign of Biodun Ibanji, incidentally, my good friend before now, about until now, I guess, is bloodstained.
Now, if I understand correctly, after you came out of the palace, uh, or after the whole incident, did you get any briefing from any of your supporters or any of the SDP supporters about what really happened? How did the person who died, how did he die?
Well, I am not even aware that somebody died. I didn't know until I saw Latuboson's, and we have different accounts. I have read from the same campaign. Some will say 2 got wounded, 1 got wounded, 2 died, 1 died, and all of that. The statistics, nobody has been able to verify, But let's work with what they have said that 1 person died. I never even saw somebody who was injured. The best I saw, or the closest I saw, was a video. They apparently took a video. I told you that when that guy was giving the briefing to Engineer Shegoni, they had to prevent that onslaught. If they had allowed those people to overrun that KBS's palace, the KBS's would have been injured or dead by now, some of them, because they wouldn't have been able to run. Engineer Shegun would have been dead by now because they were coming for him and me. They would have been dead by now. The state would have been in a turmoil now. The state would have been boiling by now. Now, who could have the temerity to look at policemen and come after them in the manner that was reported? My people also, the SDP people, had already scattered when they saw also gunshots and all of those things. One of them said he ran into the bush. What were you doing there? You didn't even have a rally there. You didn't have any campaign going on, that day. So what were you doing there? Some will say, oh, they were going to the governor's house. Was Governor Fahimi having a meeting in his house that day? He wasn't even in town. So what were they doing there?
Now, if you were not the only person at that event, why do you think you were singled out?
Well, I mean, it goes without saying that they singled me out because the grand plot for them to win this election, and of course, you've seen all of the voice notes going around now about people who were having discussions with all kinds of members of the APC, Jakoko, and all of these characters, buying guns. And I'm surprised that anybody will suck Biodun into this kind of. Biodun is too decent for this kind of thing, and I know him. Biodun doesn't even do rallies in those days, to the extent that some people, some power mongers, are pushing him to this kind of a thing. Like I wrote in my post on Facebook that there will be the day after tomorrow when everybody will account for it. They singled me out for a simple reason. They wanted the story to gain traction. That's it. I just told you that Engineer Shengoni was attacked in F1, was Bimbo there. I had not even become the member of the party then. The thing that happened in Ayedun, was I there defending us? The one that happened in Gboyin was Bimbo there. In Ayetoro was Bimbo there. You understand? The one that happened in Ado yesterday was Bimbo there. That some of these people went and started struggling with a soldier for a gun. Somebody must have given these guys some kind of a steroidal, overdose of steroid to want to do this kind of a thing, because we were told that if there's a change of government, that they will sack the present administration of road transport. And I don't know where Oni has made that a campaign point, that he was going to sack road transport workers. Why would that be? These are guys who should be partners with Segun Oni in advancing the cause of the state. Make no mistakes about it, Didi. This election is existential. It's about Ekiti now and the future. And so, because it's existential, people must see it for what it is. It's in that context that we're talking about. And in the course of this discussion, if I have time, I'm going to tell you why it's an existential election. Why would a Segun Oni coming back after 12 years be getting this kind of a response from the people? Why is his reputation not stale? You will expect, now we've seen people who had been in government for 4 years and they have been stoned even while in government. Engineer Segun Oni left government 12 years ago, 13 years ago, thereabout. And today is still able to get its people in these huge numbers. Don't forget I had stood against Engineer Segun Oni before. But I underestimated that guy. I didn't know that this man did so much of work. We got to Imesi. A woman said, Adabi, Shegwan Oleo, Adabi Kebasho Nishon on Imesi. I went to Adiowa at the Oditaji's palace. I was reminded that Professor Dipo Kalawole said he left 2.5 billion naira in the coffers of Ondo State University or EXU. Today, EXU barely managed to survive. They are either rolling between expulsion, sacking 2,000 people, sacking 1,000 people, under the watch of people who should be giving people jobs.
Before we get...
But today, they are sacked. Dipo Kalawole said he left 2.5 billion. They don't even have enough to run the place today. The local government chairman under Segun Oni was at the meeting in Nitaji, I forgot his name, I think it's Engineer Adeoye or something like that, said when they were sacked, he left 450 million naira in Oye local government's account. Today, Mrs. Omotunde reminded us that she only gets 7 million naira. This is the kind of thing we're talking about. And they cannot make this. Listen, these are the issues in this campaign. Whoever wants to come looking for Bimbo Daramola, declaring him wanted and all those things, I don't care.
Okay, Congressman, before we get to the issues around the campaign, after the incident, did the SDP notify the police about what happened? Was there any police report? Did any policeman or anybody in the police hierarchy witness what happened, or is a witness to the incident on Saturday?
Very well, yes. There were policemen attached to Engineer Sheguni's convoy. There were policemen. They had trucks. And then I will expect that those guys, if they want to be honest, some of them were even running and diving and ducking for the bullets. They would have been victims by themselves. Some of them were turning over their clothes, their uniforms. It was like war. Would SDP be attacking itself or attacking its candidate? So, okay, tell me what could trigger that? Because you must identify the distant, the remote, and the clear causes of what happened. They had a day to do their own rally, which was a Friday. It was supposed to be SDP's day of going to Oye and Nikole. SDP discovered that they had a day like that and that they were going to be struggling for space in Oye and Nikole. SDP under Segun said, no, we shouldn't go into that kind of a thing because people could get emotional sometimes, and said, give it to them, let them do their own thing. We will come on Saturday, which is what he did. How best can somebody be conciliatory and sensible? Okay, now it's been proven that APC didn't have a rally on that route that day. It's been proven that APC didn't have any meeting on that road that day. And I saw, at the appropriate time, I will mention names of the person that I saw as we're driving out of Ado Ekiti, who had BAO branded buses, particularly, and another one, a Mosul car, Camry car, branded up road. They had buses that had guns in them. We have the pictures now. We have the pictures of those things. We have the voice notes now going around. And the guy who, unfortunately, this thing happened to, he identified himself. If he unfortunately died, my commiserations to the families and the friends of the guy who died, if he died. But Bimbo Daramola won't do that. But you see, even if that happened, why would you have, if you don't have cover, security, if you don't have the state cover and state collateralization, you won't come at a governor's rally and then begin to make an effort to overrun the governor, where he was talking to KBC. It wasn't even a campaign there. He was meeting with the KBCs. Who doesn't understand this? And I don't know why people are flat-footed like this. I don't know what happened to people. And I want to give credits to KBC, the Obade Jugbe, for initiating that. He had initiated it before. He had called some of these people and spoken to them before. State government had not said one word. The state government, under a decent governor, before we used to say Ayofaoche was not decent. Under a decent governor, a PhD holder, not one press release from the state government about the state of insecurity in that state. Governor Fayemi will be leaving that state in 5 months. Is this what he wants to bequeath? And build, let me not say God forbid, let the will of God be done on the 18th of June, on the 18th of June 2002. Let me not say God forbid. So even if Biodun becomes governor, is it the way he wants to start his administration? This was us who were doing rig and roast before. At the rerun in Oye
in 2009.
Benny. We went to the extent of printing posters endorsed by the campaign of rig and roast. And look at what we are doing today. How many years later?
Now, let's talk about your defection to the SDP. In my widest imagination,
You have started.
in my widest imagination, I never would have thought. I never would have thought that you would leave the APC from the days of AC to ACN and then to APC. What happened? What inspired that move?
Well, thank you for asking that question. You're talking. I mean, maybe you chose the right word, inspiration. The world is not filled with sunshine and rainbows. There will be mean and nasty times, and I think I got into my nasty times later part of my years in the APC. It gives me a lot of sense of regret, and people interpret this in the context of, oh, Bimbo is because he didn't get a chance to go to House of Representatives. And I'm asking, is it not legitimate? I first of all ran for House of Representatives in 2007. Some of these young boys saying all kinds of rubbish who have been given 10,000, 5,000, and a sickly looking phone to post all kinds of things on the phone. They were not anywhere near the political space at the time. They probably were in secondary school or in undergrads and all of those things. The same APC of today, we added color to it. We gave our lives. APC was next to my faith. It got to the point where APC people were not my friends. I mean, PDP people were not my friends anymore. I was defending APC at the expense of my lives. I did defend Dr. Fahimi at the expense. And then when people talk about shoot me, I just laugh. We gave everything that we could give because, again, I thought we had gotten to an existential point in our history where Ekiti needed to be salvaged. But today we're back at that same point, regrettably so. When Biodun comes around to say continuity, and I'm asking continuity of what, actually? Continuity of what, actually? And I want to have that engagement. I want to have that debate. Unfortunately, I'm not a gubernatorial aspirant. I want to have that engagement with them. How have they made Ekiti better in the past 4 years? It is not about me. If I were in that administration, this was what I was doing behind the scenes for Dr. Fahimi when I was in government. I spoke truth to power. I never hid my voice when it mattered to be heard. Dr. Fahimi will attest to the fact that when the teachers were angry with him, I rose to fill the gap. I started JKF. JKF loves teachers. Even the JKF that they call him today, I started it exclusively. Just keep faith. When people were beginning to look like, was this all we fought for? This was the same bad party that some of our grandmothers went to town bare-chested for. This is the same party that that guy in Ido will forever remain a one-legged man for. This is the same party that the families of Adeoti would never recover from the fact that their son, illustrious son in Norton, was lost to the struggle. This is the same party that a young boy who used to be a fervent member of this party, Willie, had to die for. This is the same party that a solar, one dependable friend of ours in this party had to give, now is in prison. It's probably this administration, the administration of Dr. Fahimi, is practically going to leave Fahimi in prison. He's going to leave Sola in prison as he exits. So, if you look at the totality of all of these things, should anybody be inspired, like you rightly said, to stay in that party? Yes, the fact that I felt that I was in a toxic environment, the toxicity of the place was too much. I get to places, I see people sniggering behind my back. I see people using my name just to want to cure favor from governor. They have demonized, they are not demonized, they have deified Dr. Fahimi. They have turned him to a god, a small god. And it's not right. That is the easiest way to destroy a man. What's the name of this very powerful king? Alexander the Great. At the highest of his power, got somebody, one of his butlers, in the morning to wake him up. Once he taps at the door of the king's room, he said he should tell him, "O king, thou art man. O king, thou art man. O king, thou art man." So that he can be reminded of his own humanity and his own frailties that is enshrined in the limitations of being a human being. But look at all of these guys today. What you see in Ekiti today is cronyism. It's not true love for the governor. And no wonder you see people decamping internally and calling themselves APC member on the face. I left the party because I felt that no, this wasn't the party that we felt that we were fighting and soldering for. That was why I left.
But you could have teamed up with any other candidate. True. Why Shegoni?
Well, I chose Shegoni because up until now, I didn't know too well that Shegoni tried, in spite of the fact that he was governor for 3 years, but those 3 years were 3 years of hard labor. He was busy diving and ducking, dodging bullets, practically dodging bullets, assaults in words, in actions, in attacks from us. We didn't even allow him to concentrate on the job. In spite of that, he brought the Cubans to come and attend to our healthcare, to come and show up our healthcare. Do we have that today? I went to state hospital in Ado Ekiti State Teaching Hospital, Bimbo, Daramola like this. I have a sprain on my hand I'm dealing with. I got to Ekiti State Teaching Hospital, no X-ray machine. Court meal. I went there 3 days ago. I had to go and do X-ray at Rainbow Diagnostics at the back of Similolua, so you can be free from libel or anything. I am saying it now. Hi, Bimbo Daramola. Let them go and do investigative journalism. Go to Ekiti State Teaching Hospital now. You will not find X-ray machine there. How about Tori Long? Now, what of people cannot afford? You obviously know that wherever you are referred to, that person is running a business. And some people can't afford that, so they go home. They don't have X-ray machine. In the hospital that God gave me the opportunity, they don't have a CT scan. Not to talk of MRI. In a state where a governor of the reputation and profile of Dr. Femi had presided for 4 years, even 8 years. As simple as how much is an X-ray machine? And then we have to go looking for places all over the place. In a state that is poor, I feel like crying, honestly. I have the pictures, so I will give you the pictures where I'm going. So that they will not say, Didi, don't use it. I will give you the picture. I am saying me. Nobody reported. I'm not reporting anything. I went there 3-4 days. I have the card. I will send it to you. No X-ray machine in a teaching hospital in Ado Ekiti. So if you find a situation where there's no X-ray machine and you say it's not existential, that's the issue of health. That is why people are saying that Oni is better. SDP. Okay, if you have a motor mechanic that is busy working on your car, and every time he works on your car, you take it back. Every time you take it back, shouldn't you change the mechanic? And that's why I feel that a Segun Oni would be better at this time. He brought Cuban doctors, he kept them in government house. They were treating people, not his family members. At that time, EU of security, he had a panic alert system. One of the things I wanted to introduce in my integrated security system. Don't forget, I also ran for governor in that place. So, okay, tomorrow now they are jumping up and down. President is coming. But they should be free to also be able to give us the milk from Ikundari. They must provide that milk. They must give the president and his team and his entourage the milk from Ikundari tomorrow. If it exists, it's not on the shelf after 4 years. And you took a bond to fund that. You took a bond to fund airport that we have not seen. They are busy clearing the place. It says it's in October 22. How much in a place where we have abandoned a road that will take us across? Listen, if we fix the road, a 35-40 kilometer road the stretch between Akure and Ado Ekiti, through Ikere, Ejutagbolu, and all of those places, we will have cut down the number of kidnapping experiences that goes on there. We will be able to jumpstart our economy there. Yesterday, they asked Biodun questions about jumpstarting the economy and all of those things. And he was saying all kinds of things. And I remember that. And they asked, Shehu Kumale asked, I said, food prices or cost of living in Ekiti is higher than all the neighboring states. And I said, why won't it? All the roads that leads to Ekiti, all of them are bad. Ado to Ikere to Akure, bad. Now, the one that is even managing, can you imagine that we left a stretch of road of 40 kilometers and we're beginning to detour, we drive off the way to Futa, and then from Futa, drive into Igbaraudo, from Igbaraudo to Ilawe to Ado, which takes another one. Is that not man hours? And even the link between Ilawe and Ado Ekiti, now it's almost being, it's not cut to two. Go there now and check. Now. Go to Omo. Where is the road there? Itawure, where is the road there? And you are saying continuity. Continuity of what? We don't want continuity, we want progress. Biodun in his mind, he may as well become governor. Well, good luck. But Ekiti people, Dada. Ekiti people in Njare, Dada. Ọ̀rọ̀kẹ́ lálẹ́ ẹ̀ ṣọ̀rọ̀ orí eré o. Iṣẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ pé Bimbo ń tara o. Sókè nìkan kìnìún. Ẹ fi ẹyin, ẹ fi ahọ́n yín, kẹ́ fi ka ẹyin yín. That's what I'm saying. You know, ẹ fi ahọ́n yín, kẹ́ fi ka ẹyin yín. I am not more Ekiti than all of the 2.3 million people who are there now. There's no day, save for the fact that I had this pain in Ekiti, that I was constrained to use the hospital, the Ekiti. That's the tertiary institution. That should be our what's it called in the US? The hallmark of a medical institution. Ekiti State Teaching Hospital, and doesn't have and people have money to buy guns. So everybody who had reason to use Ekiti State Teaching Hospital and had need for X-ray machine, need for CT scan, need for MRI, will have to go somewhere else. What's the duty of government? What's the social services that government is supposed to provide?
Congressman Bimbo Daramola, I sense that you were itching to speak in Yoruba. Feel free to do that. One of the questions I want to ask you is that there's that fear in Ekiti now. Because I've interacted with some people who say they will not be going out on election day. And this could lead to voter apathy because people are scared that there could be violence. What assurances is the SDP given to the people of Ekiti that they will be safe on election day and that they will be free to vote peacefully?
Well, this election day is actually, I don't know the context in which people say, mi ò mọ bí wọ́n ṣe ń wò. Ìjọ òmìnira ni o. Ìjọ òmìnira ni. The pensioners tí wọ́n rí pension wọn gbà, òmìnira, ayé òmìnira lélẹ̀. They've been at it for 4 years. They didn't get a hang of it. So when will they get, so I think, and don't people also understand that we will account to God if we use power to deflect, being accountable to men? The only day politicians fear the most is not the day of judgment by God. It's the day of judgment by the people. So the people should go ahead now. I just gave you example of roads. I gave you, okay, fine. Mo tẹ̀lé Ejida Segun Oni lọ sí Egbe. And Egbe Dam, tó yẹ pé orúkọ yẹn ló fi ń pe dam yẹn. The people of Egbe, they don't have water to drink. You live by the bank of the river, and yet you don't have water to drink. Okay, leave that Egbe. The entire Omo, and I think Gbon yourself, one, enough for 10 years. 10 years. Now, are you expecting an economic development in that area? So, if anybody is producing anything from there, the person is running on diesel. I know that the energy situation in Nigeria is bad, but it shouldn't be a perpetual darkness. So, if you're a Baba in Egbe or in Bonyi now, you will have to increase the cost of running that business because you have to accommodate diesel. So if you don't know that the day of liberty is June 18, 2022, then it's your business. Make no mistakes about it. I'm not a diehard partisan person. No. The party that is number one on my mind is Ekiti State. Ekiti first and our people. If SDP does not do it well, by the grace of God, if I'm alive, and I will be alive in 3 or 4 years, I will be number one people that will chase them out. I'll be number one person that will chase them out. My political party is Ekiti State. My political party is the people of Ekiti State. I don't even live there permanently like that, but my father lives there. My people lives there. So whatever affects them affects me. If I check my phone, I will open my phone for you now, and you see the number of people who ask me for all kinds of things. How many jobs need job by lay to one may? Let them publish it. This is what I expect them to do, not chasing people around with campaigns and guns. How many people did they create jobs for? If the enabling environment is bad, as I've just indicated with regards to power not being available to the entire 1/3 of the state for 10 years, then what do you expect? Okay, let me say not the 1/3, 1 year no more area. So what do you expect? So what guarantees, how do you collateralize your commitment to go and vote for that same party, having seen the best of that party in 4 years? Is it Oni? And Oni was talking one day and he said, some of these things, some of these questions that you're asking me today, I wish we had built on the things I left behind. We wouldn't be in this mess. The state is in a mess. We're indebted to the tune of 150 billion.
Is that so?
Is that so? I have the records. 150 billion. How do we come out of that? Almost 3 million people to a debt ratio of 150 billion. And you can see the 150 billion on ground. When Oni was governor, Oni said, call the local government chairman. I never touched local government money. Look at what Mrs. Omotunde Fajiri said about local government. And Ado local government takes the highest. I can't remember seeing Ado taking anything less than 130, 140. In fact,
she said 195, sometimes 200.
Okay, Shotombe.
At the least was 190 something.
Shotom. It's all and all these places that gets about 120, 110, and all of those places. Please show me where 200 million naira goes into in Ado local government. Show me where 100 million has gone to. Now let me do the mathematics for you. If you isolate Oye local government and we just say randomly 100 million, excuse me, Imobino Njari, you know, so Nimati be by Matu Abomilo, a cabin, a cabin to Mowai, you know, Olora to Akura New Day. Kilo fair fatty egg bay APC, I'm a lemikakiri. Kilo fair fatty egg bay APC, I'm a pay me koi bojadi. Kilo fẹ́ fà á dípà ẹgbẹ́ tí mo fi ojú la kú fún. Ṣùgbọ́n, okay, I was talking about these local government funds. It is not the intention of the state or the drafters of our institution, of their constitution, that the state will spend money on behalf of local governments. If the state should spend money on behalf of local governments, then let's cap local governments. My father was a local government chairman, and I know he was able to do things. Drainage, that's how you empower and you grow a local economy. You bring a local economy around the resources that come to that local government. But the state appropriates the money and then gives them change and say, take 7 million. Go and see what you can do with it. A local government, a serving local government vice chairman came and asked me for money for school fees. Ẹni tó jẹ́ vice chairman tó wà lórí vice chairman presently ó wá tọrọ owó lọ́wọ́ mi ó sọ́ọ̀lì láti sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ mi ò ní dárúkọ ẹ̀. Vice chairman kò rówó school san. I swear to Almighty God, Ọlọ́run lè lẹ́rìí mi. Let God punish me if I'm lying. Some of them are riding Okadas. I heard they just bought them, they just trying to buy them vehicles now. Olebo Oroku, Yaleno Akogba. Who does that? This is wickedness. Any Ekiti man or woman that votes for APC in this government, at this election, that person has become one of the conspirators against the existential realities of our state and the future possibilities and prospects of our state.
Okay, one of the fears that people have in this election, and I've had many people express that as well, that as we've witnessed in previous elections, don't you think that the election could go to the highest bidder? That money will play a part. Vote buying. I'm referring to vote buying now.
Well, let me first and foremost use this opportunity to bear àwọn Èkìtì dáadáa. Lórí ọ̀rọ̀ pé gbowó dìbò kó síbẹ̀ yìí. Kó síbi tó máa gbé yín dé. Ẹ ń tara yín lọ́pọ̀ ni. Onígbà ló ń pe gbá ẹ̀ lákìkàràgbá kan tó fi gba kéegun. You know, tó bá tẹ aṣọ ẹ mọ́lẹ̀ ẹlòmíì á bá ẹ fáyà. It's not a problem. But ẹ rántí o, ìrìn àjò tẹ́ fẹ́ gbẹ́sẹ̀ lé ìrìn àjò ọdún mẹ́rin ni. Bó bá wù yín náà, ẹ tún ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Àmójọ rárá rí now. You know, let us try a new driver. Let's put the new driver in the driving seat. Tí ò ní ò bá ṣe dáadáa, God forbid, in another 4 years, àlè kò lè bẹ̀. Ìran àti mọ nǹkan yóò ṣe. It is not possible for Biodun to continue, with this trajectory, and we'll get to the destination that we envisage for ourselves. He was a key member of that part of that administration. And then the administration fell short of everything. We invested so much of trust in the mandate that made Fayemi the governor the second time. But I don't think we've gotten the kind of value for that level of trust that we invested. It's not personal. Am I the one that prevented them from repay? Okay, Dr. Ayofaji told me that the refund that he should have gotten as governor was delayed till Dr. Fayemi became governor. For that road. Why is it a big deal? They say it's federal road. How can anybody tell you it's federal road? Is that a federal human being? More people will use that road than more people trying to go through to using an airport. And they say it's cargo airport. And I was looking at one of them yesterday, Ronti, my friend, former commissioner Ronti, the cabinet candidate. I insist.
Deborah Ronti
Ajayi. I insist till now. We're talking about economics of scale. How do you go and invest? Listen, your children can't go to school. You are going ahead to buy a lace of 500,000 naira because you have a party. Don't forget that Ebonyi State, Ekiti Amagbomi o, e o kekere ka igba e na ni ira Ebonyi igba o. Ẹ lọ compare nǹkan tí Dave Umeayi tó fowó Ebonyi ṣe, kẹ́ wá compare àti bíbá iná. Go and see it. But to bá jọra wọn fi ń wéra wọn now. I'm just like, what is going on? One not shake Kundari. Okay, I go to supermarkets and I ask, láti patronize ọjà tí government wa náwó lé lórí. Tí ma ti fẹ́ mu milk lẹ́kìtì, ẹ lọ bá mi ra milk. For instance, anywhere I go, the first water tí ma ń bèrè fún ni Ragolis. Even in Lagos.
You might go see water.
Oh, sorry. Ragolis ti kú, go see. The first omi tí mo ma ń bèrè in Abuja, in Lagos, do you have Gosi? Because every cupboard that I buy, that I put in Gosi, eventually finds its way back to Ekiti State. But if I go and pay for Ragolis or pay for Swan or Evian and all of those things, I am shipping the jobs from Ekiti and shipping it to somewhere else. So out of communal patriotism, what I do is that let me buy from my state first. Whatever happened to all those fruits and all this, mo ń gba ìlàwẹ̀ kọjá níjọ́ kan. Mo wá rí àwọn màmá kan, and màá dẹ̀ post ẹ̀ lọ́sàn yìí, wọ́n ń ta ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ yẹn. And I asked myself, when Dr. Fayemi came to power the first time, we had tuber belt, Elisha, all those places. We had grain belt, Igbimo rice, Ire, Monkonko. And then we had something belt, which was to take care of the banana and all of those things, and plantain. Whatever happened to that? So Dr. Fayemi will leave that state without one industry that is fresh, that is new, that we can say that Fayemi started this from block 1 to the last block.
What about the Kunde refinery you refer to? And he resorted and he reborn bricks in your town, your hometown.
It's been sold. It's in the papers. Or concessioned. It was Oscar Yeleso from Iwulubeju who came and concessioned under Fountain Holdings. What is there that we cannot fund? And the issue I even have about that whole thing is that it's shrouded in secrecy. Where is the host community input in that agreement? What should the operator or the owner of that place today, because it is partly owned by Ekiti State now and somebody else. What is the host city agreement inside that now? We cannot extract commitment that the man will commit to any CSR that we were not part of this negotiation. Tell me one Ire person who was there. And then you say, oh God, shake it in God. Are we stupid? For instance, thank you for reminding me of that bomb bricks. That bomb bricks was called Encon. It's directly opposite my father's house. I can tell you the history of that place. I am a philatelist. The man who taught me how to collect stamps is from that place. My father gave them free house for almost 4 or 5 years to start that factory under Adekunle Ajasin. There were 7 of them. There was one in Oregu in Lagos. There was one in Jigawa. All the other ones are functioning. Today, we're still trying to find our way around it. Concessioning may not be a bad idea if government feels that it lacks the capacity to run it. But I'm saying that the agreement leading to the concessioning was not broad-minded. It wasn't. I want to see the host community input in that, because you are taking value from Ire. So if you are taking value from Ire and you are deriving value from that, you must give back. Where is the CSR commitment that we can hold them? Indeed, on the day it was given, the Kabiyesi Onire was not dignified to even be there in a state that has several professors. The Falusis, the Tunji Olutolas, Ali Baloyes, the Daramolas, and all of those things. Let me say all of these things to you. Let me make this clear to you, Didi. When I had the opportunity and the privilege of God, and the grace of God and the privilege of men, to go to the House of Representatives to represent the people, I would be failing the responsibility of leadership if I said my duty to Ekiti State ended or terminated the day I left the National Assembly. It would have been failure and misguided, failure of leadership and misguided responsibility. I was elevated from nothing because I became a member of Representatives because people voted for me. And I want to thank the whole of Ikole. I want to thank the whole of Oye for voting for me. But my responsibility got widened that day. If I don't say what I'm saying now today, it will be abdication of responsibility. It will be dereliction of the highest order. And that's why I'm concerned. My first political party is Ekiti people and Ekiti State. Because only a warrior Jerusalem, it is not about naira and kobo for me. It is not about position. I am saying this because I'm genuinely concerned. I've never taken a contract. Okay, one time I took a contract in Ekiti State. It was Tunji Oluri who gave me. And the contract was so supply books. That's the only one time that Ekiti money can say that it's found its way in my pocket. It was Tunji Oluri who gave it to me. Dr. Ami was there with the first years, 4 years. Shingbai. Second year, I was worse. And then when they say, hey, Madalun, I speak about these things because I don't want us to build on the wrong foundation. St. Paul said, on this rock, it was Jesus who said it. It was St. Paul. On this rock I have built. Let every man be careful how he builds upon it. If you raise a new Ekiti on cronyism, on foundations that are shaky, our future will also be shaky. Because we will have totally abdicated and ran away, taking a flight from who we are and how we were raised. And now raised on wrong values of cronyism and all of those things. Now, all of a sudden, people want to contest elections, you have to go and meet the wife of the governor. You have to use SMS to invite people. Assembly, you have to collect 26 forms. Nígbà tí ọ̀bẹ bà mí lọ́wọ́ ní 2019, wọ́n fi mí ṣe ẹ̀yẹ. Bimbo tí ẹ tètè pọ̀jù kí ni ọ̀bẹ ti mú àwọn kan lọ́wọ́ báyìí. Àwọn náà ń jẹ́ ìrora lábẹ́ báyìí. If we had corrected it then, we wouldn't have set a wrong precedence. Now the governor must know that you can say, what made you feel before you can say, okay, go to assembly, even if you are least prepared for it. One of them was on Facebook telling me, ìjọba ló ń sọ̀rọ̀, a máa lé wọn wọgbó ni, that's the man who's supposed to be making law for Ekiti State people.
Honorable Daramola, there's this question that I would like to ask you. Last week when Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the presidential primaries of the APC, there was this news that went to town, this sort of a jubilation amongst the APC members in Ekiti State that that had put paid to Segun Oni's governorship ambition. Is that so? How do you does Asiwaju winning the ticket, presidential ticket of the APC, does he have any part on Segun Oni? Was Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu backing Segun Oni before?
Well, you see, let me first of all start by saying that there's a portion of the Bible that says that let whoever will serve the Lord depart from iniquity, because the Lord knows his, and he knows those who are serving him. Today, are they going to say that Asiwaju does not know the disposition of these people to him? Ṣé àwọn tó ń pariwo pé Asiwaju ń bọ̀ wá dìbò, Asiwaju kọ́bárì tí yá àwọn tó ẹgbẹ́ SDP ká? Asiwaju does not. Asiwaju òun ra oúnjẹ ní Erégbùrù. Asiwaju ìwọ mọ́tò ládò. Asiwaju ìlọ hospital ládò. Jíjẹ kan gógó ládò. Wọ́n ní wọ́n kọrin kan ní APC ń sìn ó yẹ ká bínú, ó yẹ ká bínú, gàrí wọn, ráìsì wọn, ebi ń pa mẹ̀kúnnù, ó yẹ ká bínú. Is that a lie? Ṣé ebi ń pa Aṣíwájú lẹ́kìtì? Aṣíwájú ò ń nájà ládérégùrù, kò ń nájà níjìgbò, ẹ lọ hospital ládò. The best tó lè wá ṣe náà ni pé okay, our campaign fún ẹgbẹ́, but ó ní kí ló ń ṣe sọ Yorùbá o, kí ẹni kí ó kàn jáwọ́ nínú, you let the people kíníkan depart from iniquity, because the Lord knows his and he knows those who are serving him. Ìrakọ̀ mẹ́nu Aṣíwájú ọmọ ìgbà tí wọ́n kọ́kọ́ gbé okay, àná ni Bíọ́dún ṣe ìfojú rí Aṣíwájú, ọ̀nìkan ti gbé látòṣù mẹ́ta, àná bẹ́ẹ̀ l'Aṣíwájú ń ṣe mójú rí. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ṣèyẹn torí pé wọn ò fẹ́ kí báwo ṣe máa dọ̀bálẹ̀ kó máa kí Aṣíwájú ní ìjọ tó bá wá campaign lọ́la. That is what they have done. Tó bá jẹ́ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ṣe fẹ́ràn Aṣíwájú, tó bá ṣe jẹ́ leader wọn àti mentor wọn tó, ó yẹ kí ìjọ kan ti emerge láti mú lọ sílé rẹ̀ wí ọ́nìkà gbélé yìí o. Now ìjọ kan bá fẹ́ gbẹ́rù náà ìrántí òṣùká. That's what they are trying to do. Ìjọ kan bá lè lára ọ̀sán yìí náà ìrántí alágbẹ̀dẹ. That's what they are trying to do. But I know in the heart of okay, let me tell you a story. In the run-up to the 2018 gubernatorial elections, you know, when the family had not signaled that I was going to run and Oni was already in the game, wọ́n lọ bá Ṣẹ́gun Oni, wọ́n sọ fún pé wá àwọn kan tí mi ò ní dárúkọ wọn so that ní sọ pé kí n máa sọ pé láìbẹ̀rẹ̀ mọ́ nǹkan kan. Wọ́n lọ bá Ṣẹ́gun Oni, wọ́n ní pé Ṣẹ́gun Oni wá, a gbéjọba Èkìtì ilé ẹ lọ́wọ́ on the 18th of June 2018. Wà wọlé àfihàn governor wa, ṣùgbọ́n kankan la fẹ́ kó ṣe. Ó ní kíni, and this story I know, ẹ tí ó bá fẹ́ mọ̀ lẹ́yìn ètò yìí kó pè mí, màá dárúkọ àwọn. Wọ́n ní pé kí ló ẹjìnà Ṣẹ́gun Oni, wọ́n ní pé kí ni ẹ fẹ́ kí wọ́n ṣe. Wọ́n ní pé join àwa tá a fẹ́ fìtínà Aṣíwájú. Ẹjìnà Ṣẹ́gun Oni ní pé I cannot do it, pé òun ò lè fìtínà Aṣíwájú. And I'm saying this, mi ò tí ì gba kọ́bọ̀ lọ́wọ́ Ṣẹ́gun Oni rí. He has never offered me a kobo. I have never taken 1 naira from engineer Adebayo Ṣẹ́gun Oni, the Aṣíwájú Onígbàgbọ́. So, can anybody read? I have never taken a penny from SDP. Ìwọ ra mi ni mo náà síbẹ̀. Kò bá mi sọ́rí. Even mi ò tí ì mu omi SDP rí. Káàpé mo ti lọ sí convention ní ṣe máa mu omi SDP. Mi ò ráyè lọ. So, can anybody ti gbé oko? Now, let me also quickly tell you that if Oni was a government under SDP now, if he had become governor, the Mohad camp sibe, it would be crass opportunism. I have joined the party in terms of adversity. This was what we did under AC. This was what we did under ACN and all the way to APC until APC became party in power. So I am a product of adversity. I don't go for prosperity. I become a part of adversity. Peradventure, God will bless the work of our hands and make us prosperous. And that is consistent with my character. My going to SDP is consistent with my character to slave for the people through adversity, thick and thin, and then pray that God will crown the works of our hands. So Aṣíwájú Ṣẹ́gun Oni said, why would you want me to be against this man? This man After I left PDP, this man and Baba Konde made me the deputy chairman of a political party that I did not even work for, that I only just joined. He said, I will not do it too. He said, ṣó fẹ́ jẹ governor ṣá, tó bá ti join wa, ní support yẹ o fún governor yìí o. Ó ní okay, pé kó máa lọ, pé kó lọ lo 2 weeks, kó lọ rò. After 2 weeks, they called him back and said, yes, governor, what do you say? Are you willing to join the Asiwaju must die, Asiwaju must go, Asiwaju is not the Yoruba, the leader of the Yoruba group? And he said, this was the overwhelming part of it. He said, sir, in the past 2 weeks, I did not think about it. He said, the more I try to think about it, the more it becomes obvious to me that I shouldn't do this to this man. What a man of integrity. This is the same integrity that Colonel Adekunle Fajuyi had that made him die for Aguiyi Ironsi. That's consistent with our character as Ekiti people. Not today, the days of cronyism, that people will know that this is wrong. And who does that? They have taken away all of our values, all of those pristine values that used to separate us, that you will say, Ojokon, our President Obasanjo. And Obasanjo said, one report about the Adiyanju from Omado, Ogabodunde, one report from President Obasanjo. Oshibai. Then President Obasanjo down. Te balo lagidi, maagba. Te balo shibai, maagba. But te balo jali, ikitiman, mi onigba. That is the testimonial of the President Olusegun Obasanjo. Is very critical of Ekiti people. And then today, what do we have? The old state had, that state for the past 4 years had only 14 people rule that state. Some of them became so rich. Some of them have become so rich that they can buy anybody up. That's why they can go and start giving 20 million naira to local government. All of a sudden, why would they use that money to fix the roads? They will look at the road. Some of the roads, some of the roads, and then all kinds of things that we hear today. Some of them have houses in places that, some of them buy houses, build hotels, and all of those things at the expense of the people in a state that is reputed to be poor. You have succeeded in making people. Those people are hostages. They have taken us as hostages. They are mariners.
Congressman Bimbo Daramola, our time is fast spent. Your final appeal to the people of Ekiti State as they will be going to the poll this Saturday.
Well, thank you very much, Didi. Ekiti Kete mo kiyin mo beyin mo lórúkọ Ọlọ́run. Èyí tí atótónu tí mo ti ń ṣe látàárọ̀ kò ṣe torí èmi nìkan. Èmi ọmọ yín Bimbo Daramola. Ẹ lọ wo iṣẹ́ ọwọ́ mi náà. Pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn Ọlọ́run, pẹ̀lú ẹ̀mí ìrẹ̀lẹ̀ ni mo sọ fún yín pé nígbà tí mo ní opportunity, every opportunity I've had to stood for Ekiti, I've done that. 2,050 children ọmọ Ekiti ni mo gba jam forms fún. 64 cars ni mo rà fún yàn. Mo kọ́ hospital pẹ̀lú àtìlẹ́yìn Ọlọ́run. Mo gba yàn síṣẹ́, mo ṣe oríṣiríṣi. That is what I expect them to do. Let them show us the record of people that they've given jobs to and taking them out of poverty. This election is existential. It's about us. Ọjọ́ ìdìbò ìjàre mọ́ ọjà o. Mo kàn fẹ́ kí n jáde wọ̀tí, kí n jáde sóde. Sójà àyìnbó lùyìn. Wọ́n lé mi káàkiri báyìí, wọ́n jẹ́ kí n jáde. Wọ́n ní pé wọ́n tẹ́ kíní sílẹ̀ fún mi so that ọlọ́pàá gbé mi àbí sójà gbé mi torí pé wọ́n ní mo níbi mo ti pààyàn mẹ́yìn ìbọn sọ́ni bọ́dí o jẹ́jẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ mi mo jókòó ọ̀rọ̀ ni máa sọ. Mo fẹ́ bẹ̀ yín nítorí Ọlọ́run Ekiti Kété ẹ jáde ẹ lọ dìbò fún Aṣíwájú Ṣẹ́gun Òní ní ẹgbẹ́ SDP. A ti try àwọn tó wà ń bẹ̀ yìí fún ọdún 4. Mi ò bá bí ọdún jà, mi ò níjà pẹ̀lú ẹ̀yin ọkàn mi, ṣùgbọ́n mo fẹ́ràn Ekiti ju ọ̀rẹ́ lọ. Ìtókù náà ọ̀rọ̀ ìtókù yìí on June 18 torí Ọlọ́run gbogbo Ekiti pátápátá yín pensioner ibi tẹ́ di sí ni kẹ́ di sí o. Ẹ rántí ìyà tẹ́ ẹ rántí ebi, ẹ rántí ọjọ́ tẹ́ fi máa ń tò lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ títì ní ibi tẹ́ ti máa lọ fẹ́ gba pension. My father is a pensioner, but I have told him that he should give them the pension. I will be paying the pension.
All right, thank you very much, Congressman Bimbo Daramola. Thank you for coming.
Àwọn teacher náà gbọ́dọ̀ gbàgbé o. Ẹ̀yin teacher, ẹ̀yin civil servant, gbogbo yín pátápátá ẹ má gbàgbé eléyìí lẹ fi sọ̀rọ̀ kí àwọn politician àwọn olóṣèlú kan lè máa kà yín kún, àwọn eléyìí ò kà yín kún tó.
Thank you very much, Congressman Bimbo Daramola, for coming onto this edition of Conversation with Adaba FM. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Didi. Thank you for the good job that you're doing. Your professionalism just marvels me every time. And then, mo tún gbéra ní báyìí mo tún mọ bí tí mo lọ. the board of here does not know where I will sleep. Let them be made some other.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for being part of the program today. My name is Major Danis. Good afternoon.